Good afternoon, at this time anyway, to everyone. Um, I can tell you all really liked the slideshow yesterday. I'm really glad about that. I'm going to do another one, I think, on my time in Shiamlatal. I have some fantastic pictures of some of the kids from the village there that were helping out at the ashram that I'll share. That'll probably be another day or two. That takes a lot of footwork, a lot of computer editing to do that. So, but I'd love to share those things. I'm really touched that you're interested in seeing them. This morning I was reading in this book that I've been working myself through on the spiritual talks of the direct disciples of Ramakrishna. A very challenging thing that I was going to share. Now, sometimes when we talk about this fervor that Ramakrishna experienced, this love of God that was just part and parcel of his existence, his intense longing, it can be a little bit alienating, because we're normal folks. Let's face it. Uh, we don't roll and push our face into the ground in desperation for knowing God. That's the ideal. It sure would be nice to have that kind of longing because it bears fruit very quickly. But not to be discouraged, but to really hold this though in our heart and understand that what we're pursuing is amazing and huge and more satisfying and vastly more important than the things that occur to our mind right now. And to just make space in our mind for that and to hold that there and then to keep going forward, not to be discouraged, but to see only encouragement in it. So I want to say that ahead of time because it's a rather intense reading that we're looking at. But I found it challenging, but in a good way, and so I thought I would share that with you. He says, this is Swami Turiyananda writing. He says, "We are not living on a plane of surmise, but of actual perception. We must remember from time to time why we renounce the world, and to test ourselves if we are really progressing toward the goal." I liked that notion. Test yourself. One of the things that the master used to do is every night before he'd go to bed, he would recount the day and he would look at his practice and the way that he lived that day. And he would think to himself, why haven't I realized God? What can I change? How can I improve? You see, and to do that on a regular basis is a really great way of moving ourselves forward, of really trying to move our practice somewhere, because we get a new day every day. It's brand new every day, a new opportunity to try things in a completely different way, to explore and experiment with things in a brand new way. There's no need for us to get caught on a treadmill approach to life where we just kind of keep going through the same things again and again. Take account in the evenings. If you're willing, I think it would be such a great practice in the evening to really sit and write about the day from a spiritual perspective. Just a page, each day in a journal. How it went, what your commitments for the new day are, what you're going to try to change, what you're working on. Just in a way that keeps it on the forefront of your mind, keeps you focused, that you're actually doing something, that you're actually progressing in an effort on something. That this just isn't a check mark thing that we do with our day. Like, okay, I did my meditation. Okay, did my prayer. Okay, did my, act of compassion. Did my whatever. Actually living at that level of awareness would be awesome. But just to kind of take each day as it comes and just sort of keep going along, we're not gonna make big progress. We're gonna lose out in the fact that it's just going to take us longer to get something that we want now, something that would be amazingly beautiful and wonderful now. So we should live accordingly. We should really do that and take stock of things, as he's saying here. He says, Sri Ramakrishna's initiation was no ordinary thing. He would wake up spiritual consciousness at once. He would write some characters on the tongue and the disciple would feel something heaving up, wave after wave within his chest. He asked me if I would like to have Tantrika initiation, and I said, I don't know. And he said, well, then you don't need to have it. He replied, once when I was returning from the Kali temple after saluting the mother, he said about me, his home is that high power from which proceed name and form. I felt an intense longing for liberation. I wanted very much to realize God, even in this very life. You know, we're talking about people that have seen God. We're talking about the possibility of seeing God, of knowing God. We should let that sink in for a moment. We're actually thinking about the possibility of seeing God, of touching the divine, first person, not from a book, not through someone else's words, not through someone else's mind. Our own experience, our own religion, our own understanding of the universe, infinite knowledge. These are the things we can think about, things we can put our mind on that will open up that kind of longing. The other thing I wanted to read, and this is the intense part, is about Ramakrishna's own feelings in this regard. Henceforth, Ramakrishna's worship consisted of a passionate cry and a prayer, the prayer of a child pained at the separation from his beloved mother. For hours he would sing the songs composed by seers of God. Tears then would flow continuously from his eyes. He would weep and pray, "O Mother, where are you? Reveal yourself to me. How many devotees before me have obtained your grace? Am I a wretch that you don't come to me? Pleasure, wealth, friends, enjoyments, I don't want any of these. I only desire to see you, Mother." He spent day and night in such agonizing prayer. Words of a worldly nature singe, as it were, his ears. Often people would be amazed to see him rolling on the ground and rubbing his face against the sand with this piteous wail, "Another day is spent in vain, Mother, for I have not seen you. Another day of this short life has passed, and I have not realized the truth." In another mood, he would sit before the deity and say to her, "Are you true, Mother? Or is it all a fiction of the mind? Mere poetry without any reality? If you exist, why can't I see you? Is religion then a fantasy? Is it a castle in the air?" Scarcely would these words pass his lips when in a flash he would recollect the lives of saints who had actually seen God in his life. She can't be a mere freak of human imagination, the young worshipper would think. There are people who have actually seen her. Then why can't I see her? Life is passing away, one day gone, followed by another, never to return. Every day I am drawing much nearer to death. But where is my Mother? The scriptures say that there is only one thing to be sought in this life, and that is God. Without him, life is unbearable, a mockery. When God is realized, life has meaning. It is a pleasure, a veritable garden of ease. Therefore, in pursuit of God, sincere devotees renounce the world and sacrifice their lives. What is this life worth if I am to drag on a miserable existence from day to day without tapping the eternal source of immortality and bliss? Thoughts like these would only increase his longing and make him redouble his efforts to realize God. As a consequence, he was blessed with the realization of God. Regarding this God vision, he said later on to Swami Vivekananda, "Yes, my child, I have seen God, only more intensely than I see you. I have talked to God, and more intensely than I am talking to you." Sri Ramakrishna used to emphasize that if an aspirant shows the same attachment to God as a miser feels for his hoarded treasure, as the devoted wife for her beloved husband, and the helpless child for its affectionate mother, God is sure to reveal himself to such a fervent soul in 3 days. Yeah. Words to think about. Words to get excited about, actually. It really is the only thing that gives meaning to life, you know. When you think about how life comes and goes and how we're just forgotten. Even the people that I know in my life that have passed away, already forgotten. I remember when my friend Jim passed away from AIDS back in the 90s. I wandered to the top of the hill there in San Francisco and just sat, and I was like, I looked out over and I could see the traffic on the bridge, and I could see all the people running into the subway station at the bottom of the hill, and I could see all the people going in and out of the stores along Market Street. And I remember in my mind saying, look, Jim, already the waves have covered the hole that you left. Already it's been filled in. And I began to wonder what life was about. What is worth living for? What does matter? Why am I here? Why go through any of this effort? And if you stick with the material perspective of things, you're not going to come up with an answer. You're not. All answers are going to require faith. Even the most materialistic, most hardcore science-based answers to why live are going to require a faith. You're going to have to take something at face value, some unanswerable. So turn to Thakur, look at his life. He longed for God, and he got it. He saw God. He talked to God. There was no question about that existence. It was a personal knowing experience. And he gave the rest of his life and joy to it, to share as much about it as possible. Every page of the gospel filled with his words of excitement, of enthusiasm, of love for knowing God. Tomorrow is our new day to get up and try again. Try something new. Take account. Don't be discouraged. And keep going.